السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me turn my settings down. There we go.
All right, Amr, you open this up?
Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the R2F show. We are back from the event. The event we had last week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Alhamdulillah, the event went off without a hitch. Everyone seemed to have a good time, which is very rare because I had a good time also. And if you know me, I don't really enjoy social situations, events, none of that stuff. Generally, they're always terrible. And it's the food's bad. Things are just annoying. It takes forever. But alhamdulillah, right? I had a good time, and I can say from everyone I spoke to who attended the event, they all had a good time. The food was also very good, alhamdulillah. And we had good speakers. We had fun games, trivia, all this stuff. The kids were out of sight, out of mind. All right, they were off doing their thing, having a good time, while the adults were able to have, listen to the speeches of Imam Ali and the sister. We had a speech from Mubarak, had a speech from Hanif, so Uncle MJ. So alhamdulillah, that went off without a hitch. We didn't have this on camera, but we announced that we were going to sponsor half of the airfare for Uncle MJ and Uncle Abdul Adim to go to Umrah. So alhamdulillah, we were able to do that. And it went off without a hitch, alhamdulillah, because as we mentioned prior, right, there was this peg leg who had issues with our dawah and what we're doing. And he had these unveiled threats about stopping us and trying to, I guess, scare the school to not allow us to be there because we're known fast and clean, and we're going to cause problems and all this stuff. Sorry, buddy, it didn't work. We still had the event. I wasn't worried, even though I made me number one now. Well, wasn't worried in the slightest bit. And so I had a good time. And it really showed how, the R2F group wasn't it isn't that big in reality. But when folks put their mind to something and work together to make sure that these things happen, right? Because everyone sacrificed, right? People they have to drive from far away, donate money, folks had to cook, all this stuff, right? But it all came together, right? We came together, we unionized, right, and made this happen, right? And Jaffer here, right, is a big reason why that happened, right? Because Jaffer did all this stuff, logistics behind the scene, yada yada, and then he was still there at the event, setting up tables, setting up chairs. He was getting the speakers ready. He was making sure they had the prizes and stuff. Like he was really emceeing the whole event. So I have to give huge credit to Jaffer for everything that he was doing. And honestly, made me feel like, man, I probably should have done a lot more than I did, but I mean, alhamdulillah for what I was able to do, what he was able to do, and everything went off well. So shukran everyone for attending. We do plan to do it again in the future, inshallah. And it's only up from here, inshallah. So it was a great event.
So in this show, we plan on just talking about some of the reflections, kind of go over the event and just some of our thoughts and takeaways from it. And we will have to address the individual / individuals responsible for trying to put a stop to the event. And I was kind of thinking of like what I could talk about that hasn't already been said in like the social media posts or these sort of things. But one thing that we kind of find in this journey of leaving the cult, waking up to like what the truth is, dealing with like the fallout of family and friends once we try to walk upon that path of truth and separate ourselves from the cult and all those different things. We mentioned it a lot of times that it's the stories and like the timelines of things are almost identical to what is in the Sirah. Of course, it's not to the level of what Rasulullah Sallallahu and the Sahabas experienced, but you could take a lot of lessons from what happened. And so one of the things that we mentioned during the event that wasn't on camera is TMOA has been defeated. Like it's done. I mean, of course, it's not done as far as like 100% of the people aren't guided. You know, they still are functioning. Our goal was never to like destroy TMOA and banish them from the face of the earth. That's never our goal. Our goal is to try to guide as many people as possible and expose the falsehood. And we have done that. And we are very confident in just declaring like, yeah, we won the game. It's over, right? It's the fourth quarter. 2 minutes are left. We're winning 150 to 0, right? Like there's no possible way. Like they don't have a defense. They haven't mounted a defense. And we declared that. So I tried to think of like, okay, well, what represents that in the Sirah? And the first thing that comes to mind is like the conquest of Mecca, right? But when you really think about it, and you look at some of the scholars of history when they talk about it, and you look at the actual Sirah, usually the victory happens way before it's actually seen, right? So, and if you look at the events of this summit or this convention that we had, and you compare it to the Hijrah to Medina, there's a lot of similarities, right? So, and a lot of people would look back at the actual Hijrah of the Hijrah to Medina as the actual point of the victory of Islam in Saudi in the Hijaz, right? So, and if you look at some of the events around the Hijrah, right, you can compare it to the planning. We planned an event, we planned a summit, and the Hijrah was planned. People were making planned exits to go to Medina. Rasul Sallam and Abu Bakr were like, one of the last to go, and so the Meccan pagans knew, and they knew that, okay, we cannot let him get to Medina because he's going to be able to establish himself and they're going to become an actual force and we won't be able to deal with him anymore. Right? So what happened? And we know that they were in a meeting trying to figure out what to do. What happened? Shaitan came in the form of a man and said, hey, y'all should kill him. Y'all should assassinate him, right? And then they came up with the idea that, send one person from each tribe. That way they can't really do anything. So they actually planned to kill Rasulullah. They actually planned to stop him from making Hijrah, right? And you have these people that actually planned to stop us from having this event, right? So they recognized that this event was very meaningful, very powerful. Shaitan recognized that it was a very powerful event. And you have these people that are, going around taking their time out the day to put around these elaborate flyers, drive to anonymous mailboxes, mail out physical copies, drive around in the middle of the night. And look when they tried to assassinate Rasulullah, what'd they do? They came in the middle of the night and Allah had them fall asleep. Come in the middle of the night, dropping off. We got this guy on tape, one of the guys on tape, coming off and like dropping off flyers at the venue to try to literally scare the people from hosting us, trying to connect us to the Taliban, terrorists, with Martin Moyer from the Christian Ashking Network. I mean, it's just silly. But what happened? The event still happened. What happened? Rasulullah still made Hijrah to Medina. And then another thing that I was thinking about was, so of course, as being like the organizers and all this, we did our due diligence to do the best we could to protect the people that were attending, even though we didn't personally think there was a threat. There's always a possibility with TMOA because we know the history of TMOA, right? For all we know, some guy could just show up and want to start shooting up the place or whatever. But we had to take what we had to do to try to protect ourselves and our people, even if we don't think it's a viable threat, right? Because in that letter was some clear threats, like the wrath of Allah is going to come get you and all that, right? And it's very interesting that while we have this threat, we literally just called the cops, local law enforcement, and said, hey, we got this threat. We're having an event. Can you send a patrol car around? They're like, yeah, we'll send somebody around. After we made that call, we never thought about it again. We literally never thought about it. We never talked about it. We never even considered it, besides making jokes about the guy limping on camera. That's it. And then looking back at the Sirah, you have the incident with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr radiallahu an were in the cave. And Abu Bakr was like, oh, we're worried. They're gonna see us and this and that. And we're so then you had the ayats revealed. It's like I forget the exact words, but like, what do you think about the two where the third is Allah? And then peace descends and tranquility. And you know, maybe Bark and Hanif can help me out with that exact ayat. But literally, like, it was a peaceful event. We weren't worried about anything. There was no like, hey, is someone watching us? Is someone coming? We didn't think about that. We literally were like outside of our shells, having fun, enjoying ourselves. And like, you can only imagine like the joy and the feeling of the people of Medina when Rasul Sallallahu came finally and made the hijrah. When they see him coming from Kuba to the city, and the joy and the happiness that all the Muslims had, like, here, we're together. All the Muslims are together. So that's the kind of like I think we can draw a lot of similarities from that. And from here, I believe that as far as regarding specifically TMOA, it's going to be just it's been downhill since we started giving dawah to TMOA for them. It's just continually downhill, and it's been continually uphill for our family. I don't only like referring to us as like a organization or a group, or like we're like just literally just a family, and our numbers keep growing. Our ties keep growing stronger, and we'll have more events like this. At the end of the year, we're planning our Umrah trip. That's going to be another time for all of us to bond and get together and be in the two harams in Mecca and Medina. Like, so that's why I drew from it. That's just kind of like how I want to tie it to the Sirah, because it was an amazing event. I have really no words that can really describe just the feeling of being there with all my brothers and sisters and having that sense of community and brotherhood, and literally like no pressure, just having fun, playing games. We had some Islamic talks, we had some speeches, got some insider behind the scenes info from the elders that were there, and they were there to be themselves and not have to, act. They could be themselves without any, issues. It was just a great event. And I really encourage for the next time that we have it, inshallah, that as many people as possible come to participate. Even TMOA members, come hang out with us. We're not going to make you feel like down, like you're like you can play the games with us, have conversations, you can ask questions, we can have a little debate, we can eat food together. Like, this is what it's all about. It's all about the religion of Islam, following the Quran and Sunnah, and strengthening strengthening the bonds of kinship, brotherhood, sisterhood, in the Ummah, not in our little R2F group, not in TMOA, not in the Ummah. And that's really what it's about. So I went on a rant there, but that's kind of what I had to say.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, since you were mentioning like the Sirah and how everything, you can tie it back. I look at the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, when the mushrikeen, the pagans, the opposition, and a lot of those people who were the leaders of the opposition actually wound up becoming not only Muslims and companions and Sahabas, but instrumental in the growth and the spread of Islam after that. But the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, when the Muslims were trying to make Umrah, and they were coming, and they made all sorts of stipulations. They blocked them, of course, and then they made a lot of stipulations in the agreement, and those, all of their efforts actually backfired and actually strengthened the Muslims, and they actually made it was better. And when Allah called it inna fatahna laka fathan mubina, that it was a great victory, and the Muslims didn't see it at the time. And when Ja'far first started making the videos, and there was all types of opposition, and he's a dog, and they tried to, cut him off from his family. They tried, they separated people's wives and husbands. They did all types of things. All of the things that they did actually backfired, to the point where they are scared to even like press a button on their phone. They're taking people's phones to the point where it has turned, 180, to where even a small group has them cowering. in a corner. But that's one of the things in with the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, in which eventually the mushrikeen had to come to Rasulullah says, please, let's take your people, and trying to renegotiate and saying, trying to renegotiate the deal. Basically, they wound up breaking it later. But the point was, they realized that what they were doing and what they had thought was a good deal for them, what thought would be beneficial for them, what would be profitable, and what would stop the Muslims, actually did the opposite. It had them grow exponentially. And inshallah, it will be the same for us, I hope. Inshallah.
Hanif, give us your thoughts, Brother Hanif.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulullah wa alihi wa sahbihi tasneem kathira. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi. I was this event, and we were saying this at our brunch, that I've been to a lot of different events, of course, over the past, I don't know, decade or so, almost a decade, outside of TMOA. But this was different because it's my brothers and sisters who I grew up with. And I've never been to an event associated with any of y'all where it was not performative religiosity. And it was just people just showing up how they are. Like you said, it was, it's who the leaders are, but it's not, no one is saying I'm the leader. Let's stand up when Sheikh Mubarak and Sheikh Jafar comes into the room and Amr is here. You know what I mean? Like it was so natural. It was so organic. It was so fluid. It was so positive. It was so real. The sunnah was followed. The fact that we combined our prayers, nobody was making tayammum and making salat inside of the car. You know what I mean? It was something that was so pure. I mean, there was really activities for the kids. And then, of course, we have Hussein that releases the expense report that has never, ever been done in 40 years of TMOA, that we're telling you exactly where the money went. You know what I mean? And I think I might even do an inspiration about that tomorrow. Talking about how, the Prophet ﷺ set up Baytul Amal and how everything that was inside of that bank account was, everybody knew the balance of it. It wasn't a secret. But I think that what really took me away was, for me, not only was it a history lesson, because there's a difference between a history lesson that's false and a history lesson that is truthful. And to hear the history lesson from our elders, led by Uncle MJ, that right there just took me to a completely different level. I do want to mention something real quick before I bounce it to Amr. I talked about this in our chat. Sheikh Mubarak was sitting at the table and he was literally just preparing the speech. Now, it's so effortless to us because Allah has made it easy for us. He did not make the falsehood difficult to refute. It only becomes difficult to refute when you're coming from your own shahawat and your desires and your whims and different things like that. So literally we're not taking months to prepare for this. The planning of the event may take some months, but I don't know. I must have changed what I was going to say maybe 7 times, like what I was going to say. And then finally when I got there, I said, okay, this is what I'm going to settle on. But it was just it was a family event. It was the Eid. It was a family reunion. It was all those things in one.
And to piggyback off of what Hanif said, about there not being pressure to do any one thing. Listen, I'm not gonna be in public just doing things. That's not how I might be here on the show, alhamdulillah, but during the event, where was I? Out of sight. Because that's just not who I am. And you might see me here and there mess with the camera, making sure that we have the recording going on and all that stuff. But besides that, that's just not who I am. So there wasn't pressure to do this, that, or the third. Everyone was able to be comfortable in their own zone, in their own lane, right? I was probably making food, cooking half an hour before the event started. I'm late. I'm over here chopping stuff up. I have to go shower. I have to drive there. So it's hectic, but it was a microcosm of the R2F show, because if you're in the production room, right, Mubarak, Jaffer, and I might be okay. Listen, the show's in half an hour. We had nothing ready, and we have to get things ready in that half an hour to come on the show and give da'wah to the people in Team Away, not Team
Hey,
Away.
Don't give away our secrets, man.
and it comes together, right? And it looks like it's been prepared for a whole week. Like that's what, because how do you mention, you know, you don't have to prepare for it that much when you know what you're talking about, right? The show looks produced to high hell. I have the link sent out like 5 minutes before the show starts. I'm still like, I have things in the background I have to take care of, like so everything's just. But alhamdulillah.
You know why? It's because the thing, and what Hanif has alluded to many times, is that we're actually just copying whatever Allah and His Messenger are saying. So it's already, actually the stuff is already produced for us over 1400 years ago.
Subhanallah.
We're literally just taking that and repeating it to you. So that's why it's really effortless. I mean, once you get dialed in, once you pick the ayats or the hadith, and you'll have the right mindset. You're not coming from your own desires, but you're really just trying to direct people to Allah. Then it's easy because Allah actually allows you to do His work. Allah is going to give the da'wah to people. Allah is going to give the guidance, or at least give people the remove the excuse from them from saying they weren't guided, and Allah is going to use different people to do that. So if Allah is going to use you, then it's going to be easy, inshallah. But if you're doing your own thing, then it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, and it should flow effortlessly. I will say this, that since we do have our brother Hanif on, then I'm going to request that you're going to be the guy who's going to you're going to close us out today. You're going to give us a nice khutbah to finish off. So just give me your heads up, so you'll already be ready. So you'll already be ready. I'm sure you have something prepared, but you can land the plane for us today. But I would like to say, and I would like to mention this ayah, and I really just want to say a few things about it, and then I would like for you guys to kind of chime in, because I feel like that it's just so perfect, We were thinking about after the event, we were like, man, we never did see old boy that was sending around letters or whatever, because we kind of joked around like if we see him, what we was going to do, but we never saw him. We actually forgot all about him. We was like, oh man, we was having such a good time. We actually forgot that, about the old letter boy and the most wanted posters or whatever. And we were talking, and I was thinking this ayah came up. And I'll recite the ayah, then I'll just say a few things about it. But أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لأنتم أشد رحبة في صدورهم من الله ذلك بأنهم قوم لا يفقهون. What does Allah say? Indeed, there is more fear in their hearts of you believers than for Allah. That is because they are a people who do not comprehend. This is what Allah says. Now, think about this. I mean, and as I was thinking throughout the day, I was thinking about this ayah like constantly. I'm like, man, this is like, I mean, it hit the target so well. Think about this. They are afraid. First of all, the alleged mission is to guide mankind. Yet they are afraid for anyone to hear or see any of the da'wah that they're allegedly doing. They're afraid to let anybody see it. They have not recorded an event of theirs, Eid, a retreat, a graduation, since Hanif said, since the terrible fraud of a Hafiz celebration. Besides that, that's the last time, I think. But they have gone out of their way to make sure none of their leaders are ever caught speaking or saying anything. And they're supposed to be leading or guiding mankind, or they're supposed to have this da'wah that is going to bring you so close to Allah. Yet they are afraid for anyone to hear or see it. Who are they afraid of? Are they afraid of Allah? No. If they were leading people to Allah, they would be broadcasting any and everything that they do. They are more afraid of us than Allah, and it's proved by what they do. They won't even move. They have people literally hiding in the night, waiting until almost midnight, going to a middle school where kids go to school at, not even a college, where the event was at, and sticking things in the door and slipping away in the night. What are you afraid of? You're more afraid of us than Allah. Well, you can go in during the day. If you really
Drop
were
it off while we
concerned,
have
you
the
would,
event.
Come to
yeah,
the event, actually.
you would
I'll
have
pay for
come.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is because, as Allah says, ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَوْمٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ. There are people who don't understand. Your fear should be for Allah more than anything else. And if you were on the correct path, then you would it would show in your fear being for Allah, and you wouldn't care what the people say. But I just thought it was amazing. I mean, we probably could pinpoint so many examples of how they're more fearful of the people than they are of Allah. And it's
to add on to that, think about, so like in Islam we always talked about like we got to live between fear and hope, right? And they tie into each other perfectly. Like, we hope for blessings, we hope for forgiveness, we fear Allah's punishment and all that. So it ties together. But if you look at, along with what you're saying, and you look at that silence that they have, afraid of like speaking out, afraid of being like, how many fears can we count just for our interaction with TMOA? They're afraid to come on the show. They're afraid for anybody to know that they contact us. So like when they contact us to debate or ask questions, don't tell anybody I contacted you. Don't make sure you don't tell you. They're afraid for anybody to know that they like actually even talk to us. They're afraid to put their beliefs public because you don't see on their websites that their sheikh is a 6'7" sultan or whatever, and he's the sixth spark of light. They don't put any of that. They just had a whole school orientation where they plan on teaching Mubarak Jelani's teachings, and they wouldn't answer a single question about Mubarak Jelani, nor did they mention his name at all once. Right? You have them afraid to propagate their beliefs, afraid to engage with us, afraid for everything. So like when you compare it, their actual silence comes from fearing people and hoping in people. Fear and hope in the people, right? Fear of being exposed, kicked out, whatever. Then you compare it to R2F. And R2F doesn't mean just us on the show, doesn't mean us hosts. It means everybody that's on the social media that's liking comments, making comments, liking posts, sharing different videos. That's all R2F. This is all, when we say R2F, we're talking about everybody that's basically standing up against the falsehood, right? And when you look at the startings of R2F, we are literally speaking out, not being silent, even though we really like, we don't really want to do this. Like if we could put our efforts to like something more enjoyable, we would do it. But we do it because we fear Allah and we hope in getting the blessings from Allah by giving the dawah. So it's literally like polar opposites, that we speak out because of our fear of Allah. They remain silent because of their fear of the people. And like you said, that's a clear example of like, okay, if you guys step back and look at that, taking all things equal, and just look at that, who do you think is closer to the right path? And Hanif had posted, had shared the saying, I believe it was of Umar ibn Umar was basically the quote is like, whoever's practicing the religion in secrecy is upon falsehood, and that describes out to the T. So it's very when you look at that and you compare the two, guys, wake up, come on.
They even fear, where they kick people out. They kick people out for, or excommunicate them for even responding to us. Even the people who have a little bit of bravery, even if they respond, then they're kicked out. But what's so silly is that these people who are kicked out and they're excommunicated, I mean, they won't even let them on their properties and nothing, and they are still afraid of what? You're already kicked out, and they're still afraid to engage for their rebuttals and their defense. These people they are the people who have been, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Joshua, but the people who have been at least willing to privately engage and try to defend, try to mount any sort of mumbo jumbo they can throw together to support their beliefs, are people who are kicked out. They don't even let them in the property. I mean, so that's amazing that they are the only people, and they're only doing it for some hope that maybe they could, I guess, conquer or win something, and maybe that by doing that they would become welcomed back with open arms as heroes. But even that wouldn't happen. So it just it's amazing.
One of the things that that you both mentioned as far as like this fear of man, they learned that from the very famous statement of Jelani when he said that if you don't fear Allah, fear me. And so when he did that, he instilled the fear of it was at one point where people feared Hussein Adams. I mean, they now fear Zainab Adams, and then you have the I don't want to say the ultimate fear, but I'm saying it figuratively. The ultimate fear is of R2F, as the Sheikh Mubarak mentioned, like the fact that they are not going to record, they're not going to say these statements. And I think it was profound what he mentioned when he said that if you are holding the key to paradise through your Murshid Kamil's da'wah, then why would you not want people to have access to that? Why this should be all over your social media accounts, which y'all have, and maybe anonymous accounts, right? And it should be, y'all should be clear with that, but of course, it's not.
Yeah.
And just to like clarify, so when R2F, right? Because I guess we're technically the faces of R2F or whatever, but it's not that important, right? But when TMOA had their IQOU Theological College live stream, right? And Jaffer and I attended, unfortunately, and didn't learn much at all. But I was there for an hour. And one of the things that's very clear is the so-called faces of TMOA. None of them were there. None of them made an effort. None of them made an appearance. Zainab Adams did not appear for her. This is her college, by the way. She started this college. She's president. The president
she didn't have a pre-recorded message or something, just like a little snippet.
It was an hour of two ladies talking, and then Hassan Ali for like 2 minutes, and they said nothing at all. That even the way they had the Zoom set up so that they couldn't see anyone else there at all. They didn't want to have any questions. They didn't want to have any response because they knew that if they had to actually ask questions, R2F was going to smoke them. Because
or if people could see the questions, that was a big thing. They didn't want anybody to even see the questions.
Yep. Because it wasn't. Pretty, I have the whole thing recorded. All right. So at any point in time, maybe in the future, we can go through it and dissect all the BS they had going on there. But it wasn't pretty. And it showed how cowardly they were, because they're fake college. They won't even like pretend to stand by it. Like Jaffer and I were asking them so many questions about this. Okay, well, are you qualified to teach the EGM? Did you learn from Mark Jelani? Not an answer, right? Hey, Hassan Ali, you came to be a Hafiz. You're Atari. What does it say about this? What does it say about that? Not a question, answer. So they won't even bother to try to appear that, oh yeah, we're kind of know what we're talking about. Not at all. On R2F, you could ask any member of R2F, they'll give you the same answer, just about, right? Because our answers are answers to questions. Okay, okay, hold on. The Quran says this, the Sunnah says this, there you go. That's your answer. And that's how it works. They can't even do that. Like it's simple. Yeah. Like you don't have to be the level of knowledge of Hanif from Mubarak or Jaffer. Anyone can do it. If you're using the Quran and Sunnah, like it shouldn't be that hard for you. I could do that. So I don't, it's lazy. It's laziness.
I was talking to one of the older brothers at the event, and we were just talking about, like, because like when you step out of the fishbowl, there's two things I have to talk about related to the fishbowl of being in a cult. So like once you step out, you realize, like, wow, I was actually in that little tiny fishbowl. Like what the heck was wrong with me? How did I even think this was reality? And all these things become so obvious. So like you look back sometimes, it's like, how did I get caught with this? How did anybody get caught with this? And I was talking to one of the older generations, and I was like, I can kind of see, like, y'all had a more of excuse than us of this generation do, because y'all would have to go find someone that had a Sahih Bukhari and actually go look and read up and then go through the pages. And we can literally just Google, like, what's the hadith on XYZ, Google it in. Sahih Bukhari pops up and it's right there. Sahih is in Muslim, it's in this. Here, we can literally look up all that. Like anything that comes up in TMOA that Mubarak Jalani says, that Noor says, that Hussein Adams says, that any of these fake Azhari scholars say, you can literally just go and type in what they say, and something will come up and say, no, that's not part of Islam. Yes, that is part of Islam. You know, you can easily do that. So that's one thing. The other thing relates to, I was thinking about this guy's flyer he put out, this most wanted American Taliban, and it's really sad to see that this guy or these people came up with this thinking that people outside of TMOA, excuse my language, would give a shit about anything that was in that flyer. They're gonna read it like Martin Moyer, American Taliban, COINTELPRO. What the hell is this person talking about? Because if you read it outside the lens of TMOA, the person sounds like a nutcase. Literally a nutcase. Like, what the hell is this person talking about? But you can imagine them really putting this together, like, yeah, man. Oh, yeah, COINTELPRO. Oh, yeah, give me that picture of Martin Moyer. Let's put it there. Oh, this is going to get them. This is going to scare them. They ain't holding this event. And really thought it was going to do something. And then the people who got this is like, what is this crap? Who are these people? Not even knowing that, and this is kind of, I'm just realizing this now. It gave me a little chill thinking about it. Not even knowing that the person that they're sending it to is an ex-Dar al-Islam member that did not follow Mubarak Jalani, is looking at you like, these fools don't scare me.
Qadr
Allah set that up 40 years ago, that this person was going to be the administrator of the school that's hosting our event, to know exactly, like, I know how these fools operate, and this don't mean nothing. Right? I mean, it's nutty, and you guys have to really step out of your little box and like, okay, is this reality? Because it reminds me sometimes, like, for instance, Hussein Adams used to play basketball with us, right? And we'd go play basketball outside of like the local court or whatever, go play in like Binghamton with other non-Muslims and stuff. And sometimes he would forget, like, we aren't on the land anymore. You made that bullcrap foul call, and they're not going to respect it because you're the Khalifa, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to step into reality. You know what I mean? Like, in a lot of these people, you have these conversations with them, and they forget that TMOA is not reality. It's fantasy land, and when you come into reality, all that stuff doesn't work. You know, if you come into reality and tell your job that, like, oh yeah, I don't need a vaccination to work here because, you know, my sheikh prescribed me hair water, they're gonna be like, what?
Right.
And you guys know enough not even to say that, but some don't. Oh, my sheikh gave us a miracle cure, and we have magic hair water that's gonna cure us. Even though I got COVID 3 times, but it's still working, you know, alhamdulillah. It's just sad at a certain point. It is really sad to like look over that and like these old heads, because we know it's the older generation because of the Kaiser Soze limp, are literally sitting back, think this is their reality, and thinking like this stuff works. It doesn't work. Putting fake FBI seals and CIA seals and national security seals, no one's falling for that.
Yeah. For you to go and stick it in the door, I mean, then we're sticking them in the door and just random places. I mean, you mailed one. I mean, I guess he sent like 3 or 4 the same letter or whatever. It's like, yo, you were on campus. All you had to do was wait till business hours and just walk up and talk to the people if you were that concerned. It's like it's like when you get like the spam email or like like you're not gonna pay attention to it. It's like, you know, one of those doomsday, one of the guys standing outside with a doomsday flyer talking about the world is gonna end. Seems like a crazy person.
You know what I thought was, and even as I'm looking at this now, like when I first looked at this, I said, what year is this? Like, I'm thinking, like, you know, like this, do people not understand that we have like even Microsoft Word, even PDF, like this looks like a 1985 jihadist, you know what I mean? I mean, this looks like and to put the seal of the 3, federal agencies as if it's coming from them. You know, if it's coming from, as somebody's going to say, "Oh wow, this is an official seal." The seal is not going to be, it's just like, I mean, like you could just see the mindset of these are the things that worked back in 1970, I guess, or whatever the case may be. I don't even. Right. I would be. I want you to pull up the seal of both and see if that's actually the updated seals that they have. I would be surprised if it's like that, an outdated seal of the FBI, if that's really even the FBI seal.
And it's so lazy because literally, like the higher ups at the school, all of them know me. So like, how is that gonna work? Like the president of the school is basically my auntie. Like that's like Auntie Gina's like that. That's hilarious, Amr. That's funny as heck. Like, and who do you think you're sending it to?
And also, Amr, I didn't even mention. I was reminded this. I spoke at that. They invited me to speak at that school. Like they invited me to speak at the school like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like so they know who I am. Like it's just like, it's like it's foolish, man.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I mean, it's not funny because you see like the mindset of these cult members, especially the older ones, but then you compare that to the ex-DAR members. We had ex-DAR members, some who followed Jelani and some who didn't, right? Older leaders of the DAR, people that were kids when they were DAR, all come together, right? And you see them out, like they're outside of this cult mindset, especially the ones that were in TMOA, where you have people that like Imam Ali Muhammad, who didn't follow the DAR, who's literally criticizing them like right to their face, like, yeah, y'all was on some dumb stuff, right? But then they're mature enough to take it like, yeah, I was on some dumb stuff, right? We're back into reality, back into looking back at their actions and seeing like, yeah, we messed up. But then you have these people that they're the same age, stuck into this TMOA cult mindset, thinking these same type of tactics would work. Like you might get somebody back in 1970 that didn't know what like a photocopier was, or people could easily go flash like a fake FBI ID and people thought they were law enforcement. This doesn't work nowadays. Like this, it doesn't work. And for you guys to put that much effort in to trying to stop like, think about it. What's the narrative? Oh, you guys are just obsessed with TMOA. Move on with your lives. You guys got nothing better to do. We're literally just planning an event to get together with ourselves. We invited y'all, but we knew you wouldn't come. And y'all are literally, you probably had to travel. What if you had to rent a car? You had to probably get a hotel, wait to the middle of the night. Instead of making to Hajj or reading Quran, you're driving to a school, dropping off fake pamphlets, and literally we have an open door. You can come talk to us anytime, at any point in time. Put the effort into defending your beliefs. Go ahead.
Also, and this is important to interject in this, and this is real deep, right? And I'm thinking, as the more and more you talk about this, the more things are revealed. So Allah Azza wa Jalla says, Wallahu khayrul makirin, Allah is the best of planners. So when you plan and plot, Allah Azza wa Jalla is the best of it. He's going to reverse what you're doing if it's not good. So as you talking about them going at nighttime and doing this, they put Martin Moyer on there. They refuted Martin Moyer for dropping off pamphlets on the land. But yet they're doing the same exact thing. They're doing the same exact thing that they are saying is the American. You can't. No, wallahi, you cannot make this stuff up, man. It's just crazy, man. So I just wanted to mention that.
Did he drop them off in like a plane or like?
Yeah, he dropped off.
The irony.
Yeah, ain't that crazy?
This year already, they had this man delivering papers to the school. He can barely walk. And we were there on Friday till like 10 p.m. waiting for you, brother. Like the door, like the round table was like, all right, inshallah, he's gonna appear. He didn't appear at all. Like this is the confidence you have where you're not even putting your name behind it. You're trying to like have multiple different postages to, okay, if this is New York, Philly, South Carolina, and it's got to Virginia somehow. Like this is how terrified you are. Everything that we say, we put our name to it, our face to it. We're confident. Like John from Mubarak said this last week on our show. You are a coward. This is plain as day, because all the smoke you had for us and the known fasiqeen and most wanted, where was that at? Come pay the bounty, please. Like where was like it was all talk. It was all talk.
Yeah. And again, to the people that's involved in this, I guess you can say conspiracy or whatever plot, just come talk to us. We won't tell on you guys. We won't tell anybody. Nor won't find out. Your mom won't find out. Don't worry. We'll keep it secret. Yeah. Right. She's not going to kick you out. She's too busy counting her cash, swimming in her pools of gold dinars. But just come talk to us. Come talk to us. And like, I've had conversation with at least one or two people throughout the years, and only one or two, that we actually had a cordial conversation, and you put everything on the table. And at the end of it, if you still want to be on what you're upon, fine. We don't need to talk anymore. But at least I gave you the information. At least you gave me your information, because you should, if you care about giving dawah and you want the blessings of Allah and you believe, like Mubarak said, you have like this key to truth, right? You should want to spread that. So Rasul Sallallahu gave dawah to everybody. He gave dawah to Abu Jahl. He gave dawah to the munafiqs. He didn't say, "Oh, well, they're Allah revealed that they're munafiqs, so I'm gonna stop." He still, because it gave him blessings, right? So you believe we're all these bad things or whatever, you should at least, for your own sake, want to get the blessings for giving us dawah, and at least you gave us the message. And at the end, if we don't follow it, we don't follow it. But we want to give you our message. You can listen to it. If you don't follow it, you don't follow it. But at least we have that exchange. At least we can come to some place of understanding. At least you could do it at normal business hours. You don't have to stay up in the middle of the night. You don't have to take time off of work to drive to Virginia to drop off flyers. We could do it over the phone. We could do it over private Zoom chats. We could do it however you want to do it, but the door is open.
He probably caught the bus anyway. Probably busted in on Greyhound.
I don't know, those knees sitting in the bus.
That's it. But like this man, listen, we always say the show's open invite, and there are those who was like, okay, well, the show's tanked because apparently Jafar Mubarak and I have exceeded the laugh quota, right? Where if it really didn't matter if we laughed or not, it could have been one laugh per show. It's more about what's being said. And trying to find an excuse to try to wiggle. Okay, well, they said Mubarak Jelani is upon shirk if he believed this, that, and the third, and Seven Sultans is also shirk, yada yada yada. But at 55 minutes and 2 seconds, you guys laugh for half a minute. So shocked. Yeah. How could you?
So here's what we have to say about that. So Jafar wrote a private letter to Sheikh Jelani, and he was called the black dog that's going to hell, basically.
Yeah.
So your standard is very, very low as far as you are hypersensitive. So if we came on here and we, talked like a whisper, and we all had turbans on, and we said nothing good about Sheikh Jelani, and we said we're still not going to be in the community, because we have seen other people maybe take the same path that we took as far as exiting, but not obviously as magnified as this. And those people were refuted. There's people refuted that's within TMOA, because they are set up, as Sheikh Mubarak said in his incredible lecture that he gave on the summit. He's breaking down the ayat of, I think, Tasim Min, Surah Ashura, right? Sheikh Mubarak, he was about how Allah, how Fir'aun divided up basically into Shiite, into into groups. So that's happened in TMOA. Y'all refute your own self. So what's it? And you already have made me your enemy, as I said before. You have already declared me your enemy. I mean, so at that point, it's okay. Then I have to. Then we're gonna go, and here we go right here with this whole. Yeah, we're already most wanted.
Wanted, yeah.
Yeah, they got Umar at number one.
Yes, sir. I haven't even said that much yet. Just wait.
You know what's funny though? It's like, wanted by who? Like, who wants us? They can't even put their name. They can't even put their name behind it. Like, yo, this is TMOA, and we're declaring these young African American gentlemen most wanted. You know, we want them. I mean, does the flyer? Correct me if I'm wrong.
It
But
says contact R2F is what it says. If you want to,
so we want
yes,
ourselves.
yes.
Yeah.
If you want to get the bounty on our heads, you have to email our email address.
I mean, you're gonna find that to be crazy. I mean, it's like usually it's like, okay, you know, Davidson County Police Department is looking for so and so and so and so. Contact us if you see them. This Jones says most wanted by there's no one mentioned, and then it has us to contact if you see us. My nigga, I mean, listen. I was the military thought on you.
Man.
Sorry about that. Retract that. Cut that from the my fellow Muslim or human being, my fellow young African American person. I mean, what sense does that make? I mean, who wants us? Please, I just want that answer. If Kaiser Sose can just make one more flyer and correct that one thing, just say who it is that wants us. That way we might go and meet him. We might, call him up, go on their show or whatever.
You know what's amazing, and I just want to say this before we take questions and let Brother Hanif, Sheikh Hanif, close us out, is going back to the theme of them being silent and how they've been basically, R2F has put like a gag order on them. Like they can't speak, they can't post a picture, they can't do anything. There was a time in TMOA where they would publish whole articles about individuals like us in their newspaper. They would put it in their newspaper. So-and-so's kicked out. So-and-so did XYZ, blah, 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 blah. They won't even in their own personal chats, private community, they won't even mention anything. They won't post anything. They won't do anything. So just look at that. And you guys that are in TMOA, ask yourselves why your leaders are so scared. And then ask yourself the next question of what they're actually afraid of. We can answer the questions ourselves for our group, is that we are so scared of the hereafter. We are so scared of going to hell. That's what we're afraid of. And why are we afraid? Because Allah warns us time and time again in the Quran of the punishments of hell. So we're doing what we can do to try to gain as much blessings as possible. Because really, like, I always go back to, like, it's really like a kind of like a selfish thing. It's like, yes, we want to guide as many people as possible, but ultimately it's like, okay, so it's like, because I know I have sins and I want to be forgiven. Yes, we want to see everybody in Jannah, but ultimately make a selfish choice, TMOA. You are going to stand before Allah all by yourself, right? We just had a clip posted on YouTube where Mubarak Jelani was making this false promise. Well, it could be a true promise, actually, but he says that TMOA is going to be raised in a community all by itself, separate, right? But we know, according to the Quran and Sunnah, that the community of Muslims, the followers of Rasul Sallallahu are raised with Rasul Sallallahu in one community. So if you are raised separately, that's not a good sign for you. That means you're not going to be raised with the community of Rasul Sallallahu, right? So think about that. If you're raised with them separately from the Ummah, because we want to be raised with the Ummah of Rasul Sallallahu in that community. But when you stand before Allah, you're going to be all by yourself. Your sheikh's not going to be there to give you like the answers. There's not going to be a fourth question in the grave about who's your murshid, who's your sheikh. He's not going to be able to grab you by the collar and save you from Allah questioning you. And what are you going to say if Allah asks you, why didn't you listen to those people that were trying to guide you towards me? Why didn't you listen to those people that said Allah said and Rasul Sallallahu said? Are you going to say, oh, because my sheikh said, or my murshid said, or my murshida said? Is that what or my mom said, my ummi said, my dad said, my friend said? Is that what your answer is going to be? I hope not. So time's of essence. We only got a little bit of time. We only got a little bit of time in this world, and we have to fix ourselves. All of us have to fix ourselves.
Please ask questions before we wrap up, inshallah. so we can get to those. Inshallah, you can ask anything at all. You can be about the event, the dude, fried chicken, whatever works for you.
He said we're not about being silent and numb. Yeah, Hussein Adams, the fine, strong words of a coward who has no intent on backing up those words whatsoever.
Never spoke again, by the way.
Yeah, poor guy. May Allah give him courage and guide him.
Do you think money would entice cult members to come out of their hole?
That's funny. Quick answer. Yes. It's everybody. If you look at the Sirah again, you look at all the different ways that Rasul Sallallahu gave dawah, and everybody has different motivations. Not everybody's going to just look at the truth of the message and just accept it. Some need different motivations and have different reasons of why they hold on to things. If you look at TMOA, a lot of them hold on to TMOA because of the social aspect of TMOA. This is why actually, think about it, this event of R2F is actually a big thing, because now they see that, oh, wait, there is a social life outside of the cult. Wow. That's going to wake some people up. But money, yes. And we kind of talked about this amongst the people that were at the thing, is one of the next steps that we're trying to look forward to in R2F is trying to get as many of us as possible, like financially secure, generational wealth, setting up different things so that we can be independent. And not to say like we're going to be off bribing people to leave TMOA, but when people look at people that have left TMOA and say, hey, look, they're financially successful, they're building things, they're doing things together, they're networking, and that will be an inspiration for some people. That might be the thing that actually turns them to like, hey, I'm going to leave this deadbeat TMOA thing and go to a community or a network or get into circles of people that are like-minded and want to be successful. So that would help a lot of people leave.
I mentioned this during the Eid. I mentioned about how a lot of the things for the families in TMOA is that the events for TMOA is more of a convenience thing. And as that convenience becomes more of a burden, right? Because it was like, okay, everybody has to attend New York. So if you live in Virginia, right? Do you want to go to New York for the Eid, or do you want to go to Richmond, or do you want to go to North Carolina? Because those are closer to you. There's going to be food there, right? It's going to be other Muslims. Everyone's kind to you, and you can go there maybe for a day trip, come back home. So when that convenience is no longer there, right? Because for a lot of folks, it was convenient, right? I know growing up, all of my friends and family, uncles and aunties, they were all going to be there. So that's what made it like, okay, yeah, I want to go to this Eid in South Carolina or in Virginia because everyone's going to be there. So I can see my friends there. There's Mahfouz, there's Akbar, everyone's going to be there, right? But now, okay, they're going to be at this place. This place is closer to me. It's easier for me to attend. It's easier for me to go to and fro. And now I don't have to go to New York. I don't have to go to South Carolina. I can go shorter place, have a better time, be treated better, and enjoy it. My kids are going to enjoy it too. They can make friends outside of the small bubble we're in. So that convenience is almost gone now, because there is who's starting to have his Eids in mathematics. If you connect with Sheikh Hanif in North Carolina, they're there too. Richmond, a whole booming scene here. So it's everywhere now. You don't have to that convenience is gone now. Listen, TMOA, and Jaffer mentioned earlier, we're moving on, right? Y'all are on y'all last legs, all right? No one was there for your little school that you had planned. You guys are at like 5K. You have like 10 days left for 100K. No, it's not happening. So though that camel is gone. It's leaving you behind. You guys stand in the desert now. You have to come along with us, or you're stuck there.
Yep. So I don't think we have. Wait, do we think there will be a cell phone ban in TMOA? Well, they pretty much have a partial ban. No meetings. No cell phones for no meetings.
Question is, would it even matter, because they're still under a Facebook ban, I believe. So they're on a social media ban. It never got lifted.
Facebook though. Yeah.
Matter of fact, it's mandatory for them all to live on the land, and 98% of the people in TMOA don't live on the land. So these bans or these mandates and stuff, they really don't mean anything. A lot of people. Yeah. It's funny. One of the brothers was pointing out that somebody that was posting some, some self-righteous, stuff, on their status or something like that. And they don't even roll like that. They ain't really down like that. They just, most of the stuff is just like, yeah, Abuji said so and so and so. So Abuji said no media. And they're on Facebook telling you that. Or Abuji said, hear and obey. And they're living in a condo in the city and have never lived on the land. Or no going to school. Meanwhile, the most prominent and the most celebrated people are people who literally defied that junk and went to school. So will it be a cell phone ban? Probably not, but even if there is, it won't even matter.
Yeah.
One thing before we close, I do want to mention that even though we just had our summit or event or convention, whatever, if anybody has ideas for the next one, it's never too early to mention them. Hang on, we do have some questions, but it's never too early to mention them. That's what I was going to say. Never too early to mention your ideas or things that you think should be added or should be done. We're gonna inshallah improve upon the next one, and inshallah it will be even better. So we're gonna try to build on that. Got a couple more questions in the thing. What are the similarities with the college being a 501c3 and TMOA's other ventures? Actually, I think they mentioned that the college is as for profit, right? I think in the beginning of that, John, they said it's actually for profit. So they quickly slid that in there in the very beginning and then zoomed away from it. But they said straight up, we about that bank with this college. We trying to make that money. They
off that bag,
They trying to secure the bag for sure.
They also said
that
they also said that
if anybody knows anything about like the businesses and all the different things that happened in the past at TMOA, is whenever you have any type of business like that, there's just all types of ways to get money and siphon money, whether it's through grants. Like they're charging like $2,000 something like a semester. And like the amount they're charging for credit hours, you would think that they were like a well-established school when literally like this is supposed to be their first semester. So it's a money grab. It's another way to take it, like because you think about like all the different grants they can get, different loans they'll take out in different people's names, and just bank more money. Someone might go to jail again, and they'll go down with the ship and not snitching anybody, get out 20 years later and not be allowed to come back to the Jamaat. And maybe their son will be like, oh, let me back to the Jamaat. And then they'll kick them out too because you asked. Like that, we already seen this happen before.
If they actually have an on-campus job, they're gonna roll out an old dusty daggone VCR and pop in the tape.
The VHS tapes. No. They said during their live interview thing for the school that the school is not up to standard to be open for the public. So it's all going to be virtual. And they also said that in case an act of God happens, we can just close the school and not refund you. So
and they said right up, like, one of the things you see the hustle. One of the things they're trying to do is, I guess it got labeled like a historic, like whatever. Like they really keyed in on that because why? That's a potential for them to get grants and other types of funding just for the sake of it being a historical landmark or something.
It was like the first like black school in Charlotte Courthouse area or in Appomattox or something like that. So I mean, they're holding on to that.
So they have their ideas of how they're going to get money out of it. But we already know there's only going to be a few people that actually benefit from it, like the people that's actually on the name of the corporation, like Noor, the president of the school, who didn't even bother to forget like a pre-recorded, not even a written message, not even like, hey, assalamu alaikum, I'm the president, join my school.
This school is accredited.
Accreditation.
But like I mentioned earlier about how it's crumbling before our eyes. Look at how much money they've raised. The last launch good they had was at 80K basically. This is at 4K. They have 13 days left. It's not gonna get to 100K because folks are waking up. This is clear as day. The last time Noor, who also had the organized thing from her, she had 75, 80K. Now it's only at 4K. Why? Because as you can see, the dial was working. Alhamdulillah. And folks are like, okay, I gave $100,000 for the Lighthouse Academia school. That's in the same place. It's in the same location. Where did it go? The money disappear. So
and Noor is sitting on at least $5 million.
She just
and she's asking y'all for money to start her for-profit business. She's saying, fund my for-profit business. Imagine if we could like Wikipedia go and like rewrite their script or their narrative on there. Like, donate now. I have $5 million, but I'm not going to use it for this venture. I want you to fund my new business, and see how much money she gets.
I donated $1,000. Be generous. Like what?
There will still be somebody talking about my sheikh and will still be donating.
That's only because she's single. As soon as Noor gets married again, it's shocked. For all the dudes in the team away, it's gone. Yeah, I never believe her anyway. And
Persian Empress asks, is the new IQOU school currently an uncertified empty warehouse?
Yes. But also, according to the Theological College, IQOU, no schools are accredited. All right. Azhar isn't accredited at all. So according to them, there is no accredited Islamic schools. So that's why they're not accredited.
Yeah. So. See, the thing is that they're so ignorant, right, of what they're doing, is that they don't understand that there's a difference between United States accreditation, right, with colleges where you can actually give accredited degrees according to U.S. state of education, whatever the governing body of that is, which there's different ones depending on the region, right? And Islamic accreditation. There's a very big difference. So like schools in America, like I go to a school now that, they give out Islamic degrees, but they're trying to get American accreditation. But the students, most of us are adult learners, which already have accredited degrees in other areas. We really don't care about the American accreditation because we care about the Islamic accreditation. So when you have the nerve to say out your mouth, Azhar and University of Medina are not accredited schools, you are completely ignorant of Islamic education and actually Azhar education, period, because they give out real degrees as well there too, secular degrees.
I would challenge anyone. I would say that it's very, very hard to find. It maybe coming out of like the Deobandi system, or some of the South Africa has a strong Islamic educational system, but for the most part, I would say you would find it hard to come across any student of knowledge who their teachers, their chain, who they are taught or learn from, does not intersect with Al-Azhar or Medina University. I think you would struggle to find any person, even the Deobandi, even out of India, probably their shuyukh, they still go there and study and come back, because it's not always just about you sticking your head in the sand with just your sheikh. A lot of the ulama of the past, and they would know this if they did a little bit of studying, how they studied with their sheikh, and then when they got the chance to travel and go study with another sheikh and study, and actually, sorry for going on this tangent, just small thing, and then I'm gonna stop. But so basically, the Abu Taba was explaining in one of his classes recently that what the ulama used to do is they would study from Eid al-Adha, from after first of Muharram, basically first of the Islamic New Year, they would study all the way up until before Ramadan. Then between Ramadan and then Eid, and then between those months, they would spend in Medina, actually, and these are the shuyukh from all over the world, from Africa, from India, from Asia, from wherever, and they would actually stay there and exchange information and questions and classes or whatever with other shuyukh and learn from them. Then they would go back to Asia and Africa and all these places. So Medina, Mecca Medina is the hub really for learning anyway. So the real shuyukh that are really about, making sure that they have, as much of Islamic knowledge, and they're not worried about, who it is that's going to say, oh, are these people or that people? They're looking for the knowledge, and they're sharing the information that they have with other shuyukh, and they would do that between Ramadan and Eid al-Adha. In Medina, they would stay there. And this was before the internet and all this, where it's easy to kind of, pick up the phone and call and do these things. But before that, that is what they were doing. So just a tip of information.
No, that's 100% true and great. And also, piggyback off what Mark said, you have faculty who will be professessors that went to Azhar, according to you. So, they aren't defending their school like, no, because Hassan Ali was there. He made an appearance. So he's not defending, saying, hey, no. Azhar is definitely the most accredited school in the world. Like, you should be defending your alma mater, but brother. And also, what I don't see, so they have a lot of Azharis on their staff. You know how I don't see El Jalani or something like that. So someone trained from their Mujaddid of the century, Murshid Khamil.
Yeah.
This perfect shape doesn't teach you anything. Because no, besides Zainab Adams, the only person that has Jelani in their name anywhere is her. Even on their pamphlet or their manifesto, how do you call it so perfectly, right? The manifesto for the student handbook, right? They don't even mention his name once. It says EGM. EGM could be anything. Only if you're from the Jamaat do you know that, okay, this is the El Jelani ideology. So they're trying their hardest to distance from Mubarak Jelani, but also keep him there. Like, no, you can't be halfway on the fence and halfway out, like not on the fence. Like you're at the inner out. You can't be a toe in shirk, a toe not in shirk. That's not how it works. So they're trying to escape. No, it's not gonna happen. We will make sure it doesn't happen. Guaranteed. You're not gonna get away with this at all. All right.
So I think that's it. And we're gonna have Sheikh Hanif land the plane for us. Close us out with final thoughts.
Alhamdulillah, assalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi taslim kathira. We praise Allah Azza wa Jalla, and this is sufficient. I was thinking about something that's really, really profound. And that is that's basically what we call the arrivals and departures. When you are at an airport, you always have the arrivals and you always have the departures. Two incredible, significant things are happening. When people are arriving, their family members are meeting them and they're very, very happy. When people are departing, their family members are very, very sad. And this is the mathalan, this is the example that we pull from the this dunya. And we want to parallel this with TMOA, and we want to make this sincere plea to you in our da'wah to Allah and our da'wah from Allah Azza wa Jalla in the authentic sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you are inside of the airport, there are things that you're willing to compromise. For instance, a bottle of water costs like $7 at the airport. This is not, you would not normally buy a bottle of water at that price outside of the airport, but you're willing to compromise this. You're willing to sleep on a hard plastic chair and give up the comfort of your bed because this is not your destination. This is just a layover. And so a lot of people in TMOA, you're not thinking about your destination. You are making the airport your home, and you cannot do that. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Al-Ankabut, which is the 29th surah in the Quran, the 57th ayat, he says, Kullu nafsin da'iqatul maut, thumma ilayna turja'un. Every single soul will taste death, and they will return back to Allah Azza wa Jal. So you are in the airport on a layover, and you will be returning back to Allah Azza wa Jal. So you will be arriving to Allah Azza wa Jal and departing this dunya. So you will have two simultaneous things happening. You will be leaving this dunya, departing. So people will be sad, and you'll be arriving. Inshallah khair, we have a great arrival inside of Jannah, inshallah. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us amongst the people of Jannah. Allahumma aj'alna ahlul Jannah, inshallah. And so I want you to ask yourself this question within the silence of your own consciousness. Are you making this layover or inside the airport your home? Are you doing the things that are shirk and here inside of this airport? Are you making these meals and making the food at the airport meals as if they are meals of Jannah? No, this is something that you should be compromising because you know this is not your real home. The lands that you live on are not where you're going to be at. You're going to be in two different destinations, inshallah khair. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla again to grant us Jannah. So we wanted to leave you with this departure or arrival. And as Hassan Basri said, radiyallahu ta'ala wa arda, Hassan Basri said, he said that you are a number of days every time days go by. So what good and what khairat are we putting inside the days, and not the shar, what we putting in days, the evilness. So we have to make sure that we are not committing shirk. We have to make sure we are not making this place. And Sheikh Jafar mentioned it earlier in this particular telecast. He said hayatu qasira, that life is short. So your life is very, very short. You have to ask yourself, am I going to rectify myself before my flight number or my flight is called, just like the flight attendant said, we are last call boarding. Everybody will be on that flight to Allah Azza wa Jal. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to bless us. Remain blessed. Thank you very much for tuning into the R2F show. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.